FPL Game Week 16 players to buy. In today's video, we'll be going through the verified power ranking, the top 5 for the next 5, of course, all the positions, who out of Jackson and Isak should you be prioritising, and who in the Liverpool defence should you be buying as well. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe. And let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and yes, they did go green this week. But we'll get into that in the team selection, as today we're in the verified power ranking, the top 5 for the next 5 across all the positions, and the starting position is of course the goalkeepers. And we have Alisson at number 1, despite not playing a game in the Premier League. Of course, he has been out for 8 game weeks now, last featuring in game week 7 when he got 10 points at Crystal Palace. But he did play last night as Liverpool won 1-0 away in Girona as he returned to the first team fold. Of course, Liverpool kept yet again another clean sheet. He also managed 5 saves, so he's back to his best already. And he'll be returning to the best defence in the league as well. Of course, Liverpool have only conceded 11 goals and have kept the most clean sheets. No team has more in either metric. And I think for a number of reasons as well, it's better to double up on Liverpool defence with the goalkeeper rather than the defenders, because of course, you might have heard that Arsenal are good at set pieces. So Raya goes at number 2. Of course, their defence is just as, well, not as good, but they're conceding less than a goal a game. But I just think Alisson's better value. He's also cheaper as well. Then we have the other 3. You have Sells, Onana and Fabianski. Those are just the picks just to make up, really. I don't think anyone would really be buying either of those. And of course, Fabianski would just be sitting on the bench. And then into the defenders, and we have William Saliba at number 1 because he scored in back-to-back league games now. And of course, his partner Gabriel is also out, so can't really recommend someone that's injured, given that he's missed 2 games in the meantime as well. And of course, as I mentioned, Arsenal's defence is top tier, obviously only bettered by Liverpool. I think with the fixtures coming up, it's a good sound investment to have for the long term as well. And then we've got Dean Huijsen at Bournemouth. He actually scored at home to Tottenham, and then he started again away to Ipswich. And with Senesi out, it looks like he will be playing in the first team. So of course, at 4.3 million represents incredible value. And of course, Bournemouth do have decent fixtures coming up as well. So he's a great enabler. And of course, Trent as well will come in. He also, of course, Liverpool didn't play at all. But another reason to get Liverpool in is due to the fact that their game was postponed. Of course, on Saturday, they were supposed to be playing Everton in Everton, but because of the storm, it was postponed, which means there's going to be a double game week somewhere on the horizon. Ben Quellen reckons it will be around game week 24, 25. It won't be before game week 19. So it's another reason to triple up on Liverpool as soon as you can, as well, just to get those double game week fixtures locked in your team. And of course, Lewis Hall as well. He's putting up great numbers in terms of key passes, and at 4.4 million, he's another budget enabler. And then we have Daniel Munoz. Probably not best to get him in right now, but he has scored in back-to-back games now, and I think, well, back-to-back home games, and he has, he's shown some real threat. He looks like he's playing like a right winger now, and of course, I think on the horizon, especially with game week 19, some fixture swings with some other popular assets, including Ait Nouri, who has not been that good for us anyway. I think Daniel Munoz would be a great person to swap to around that time, which would be around Boxing Day. Into the midfielders, and of course Mohamed Salah will remain at number 1. He's the only asset in the entire game to pass 150 points, and he's averaging 10.8 points per match. So he's far away the number 1 midfielder you should be buying if you don't own already, especially if you still own Haaland. I think with United at home, I think this is the last real game you can sell him before, because I think from game week 18, City's fixtures do look pretty tantalising, but you should really sell him, really. But enough of that. Let's go into the flavour of the month, and of course his name is ENZO Fernandez. Of course, he scored a great volley against Tottenham on Sunday, and that takes him to 6 attacking returns in the last 5 game weeks, with at least 1 attacking return in the last 5 game weeks as well. And it's not just, a run of form that is not sustainable. Of course, since he's joined the starting team in game week 12, he's actually ranks 3rd for all midfielders in the same position, with a expected goal involvement of 2.73, which is actually more than Saka on this list, as well as Son. But of course, I think there's been a tactical tweak. He's now playing 90 minutes, and a lot of it depends on the game, of course. Enzo Maresca has a different setup for every game, But in most of the games that I'm seeing, and from average positioning, he's taking a position alongside the 210s, alongside with Palmer. So I think, given the price, given the fact that he is on a tear, he's also returned 9 GA in the 6 games since his divorce. Whether you think there's a coincidence or not, that's up to you. But he's definitely in form. And at 5 million, he's a risk-free asset, really. So I'd go for him. I might have already. And of course, Palmer as well, he returned the 18-point haul. He was my captain before the news of the postponement, so I'm a bit upset that, everyone flocked to him. Well, actually, some people flocked to Haaland, some people flocked to Salah. But Palmer would have definitely been much less captained, given it was Tottenham away. But that's fine. He's on, he's 125 points as well. He's not doing too shabby. And I think he is the best captain this week. We'll talk about that in my team selection. But yes, and of course Saka will be number 4 because he has great fixtures, and I think the big 3 will always be on here, really. You want to own the big 3. Saka, he's always consistent. He actually came very close to scoring against Fulham, a very marginal offside, which that can happen. And of course we have Rodgers at number 5 just because he's another budget enabler that probably will bench for the next 3, because in most teams it will be a 3-4-3, as we'll see in the forwards. And I think he just plays 90 minutes every game. You're not going to get much in the same price range as well. And finally, the forwards, and where else to start than the most informed forward in the game at the moment, and that's Alexander Isak. He followed up his 11-point haul against Liverpool, the league leaders, with an 8-point return at Brentford as well. And of course, he looks like the best place to continue that form, with Leicester at home and Ipswich away in the next 2. And then you've got Villa at home and United away, which, on paper is not as easy as promoted teams, but of course, there's a still defence that you can get at. So I think Isak should be and will be most people's number 1 priority. And then I think you've got Joao Pedro second, just because of the value that he represents. Of course, look at the points that he's averaging. It's actually more than Isak, and his expected goal involvement per 90 is very comparable as well. So when you compare the price, I think he's an absolute no-brainer, especially given the fixtures as well. But of course, the minutes can be a concern. So that's something that we can monitor for now. But for now, I think, Joao Pedro, he rises every day. So I think everyone will own him. Of course, Nicholas Jackson, he did blank away to Chelsea, but that is more than understandable. But when you look at the fixtures that are coming up as well, the next 5, complete sea of green, just like Palmer and ENZO. And I think this is the top 3 that I think, if you were to make a new wildcard, so you'll see in the next one, that this is the ideal front 3 for me. Of course, Chris Wood, he was doing extremely well for the majority of us, but we sold him, and he did remind us what he can do by scoring at Old Trafford. He doesn't get the best underlying numbers, but he's turned into a pretty clinical finisher this season. So it seems like most shots that he does take do end up in the back of the net. So if you want to go do it different, you can go for him. Or Solanke as well. Of course, they do have Liverpool in the next 2, which is not ideal. But if you want to be a bit different, of course, you can go Solanke as well. So if I was making a game week 16 wildcard draft, this is how it would look. We would have Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah as the Liverpool triple up for sure. Of course, if you have Gabriel, you'd still keep him, but as this is a fresh wildcard, you'd go for Saliba with Saka, with the fixtures coming up. In terms of defence, we'd have Hall and Hodgson to rotate, and O'Shea just as the third sub in case anything happens. And of course, we'd have to play with them up Enzo joining Palmer and Jackson as the triple up, given Chelsea's fixtures. And of course, Isak and Joao Pedro to complete the front line as well, with Rodgers as the essential 8th attacker. Because even though he plays 90 minutes, he is a 5 million attacker, so can't expect too much from him. And the next 3, we need to bench him anyway, so he'll just sit there as good backup. So if you have any questions, drop it in the comments. Which players are you looking to buy? Which players are you looking to sell? Maybe we'll start making a videos on that as well. And of course, we'll talk about my team later in the week this week. So I'll speak to you then. Make sure you like, subscribe, and peace. Thanks.